What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about banned and restricted announcements that happened earlier this week. I'm sure as everybody knows, there was no changes. No explanations for those changes either, which I wish they would go back to just so we can understand what R&D is actually, what they're thinking, what their thoughts are going forward, what they're actually looking at. Are they looking at more of the competitive scene, Pro Tours, Grand Prix, or are they looking at more like the casual, like Arena, Magic Online, Friday Night Magic? Just looking to see what decks are going on there, what they're winning, what's winning, if they're looking at win rates, if they're looking at win versus, they're just looking at the actual play, the pace of play, and that type of thing. That being said, overall, the health of Standard right now is actually pretty good. There's lots of good strategies to play. You got Golgari, Izzet Drakes, Mono Red, Grixis, Boros, both Angels and Weenie. They're all top tier decks. There's a lot of variety of them, and they all match up well against each other. The best by far, in my opinion, is actually probably Golgari. I know it hasn't had it goes up and down whether it gets a success or not, but I think that actually has to do with the strength of the suite that Golgari has to play with. There's so many different versions of the Golgari deck that you can play, and they're all good versus certain meta. So if you hit the right build of it, you can dominate the meta game, no problem. Like you got the Wild Growth Walker Explorer method you can play. Those match up great against Mono Red. Mixed success with Izzet Drakes if your Wild Growth Walkers can stick. But then there's also like the bigger fat version, which relies more on Carnage Tyrants. And then you also have the version which can go against Control a lot better, which has your Eldest Reborn, Doom Whisperer, your Fat Flying Suite, and then there's also the Planeswalker versions too, which are running all three-year Planeswalkers, Bolt, Vraskas, and Vivian. You put yourself in a wall of defense, and then those three. Oh, and then there's also Reanimator. That's the other common version. You're running Fine Brokers, Memorial to Follies. I've even run a couple of that Transform enchantment from Ixalan. You put it on your own, it dies, it comes back. Journey to Somewhere. So, like I said, that's probably the best deck out there. It's just you got to get the right build of it going into every week, and that changes from week to week because the meta game has been, because all the decks are so good. So pretty much everybody's going, which is the deck to beat Golgari this week at the beginning of the season, and Golgari had to match. So the Golgari players had to actually adapt to match that. They're going around saying, okay, which is the deck they're going to try and beat me with, and how do I adapt that? And then, of course, the deck that won, the Boros, Angels, and Weenie. And then you also have, in our Standard right now, you have the next level of decks that are able to compete. Dinosaurs, Selesnya tokens, Mono Blue, Dimir, Vampires, Mono Green, Merfolk, Esper Control. They all can sometimes steal a win. The weakest out of these are probably your traditional control decks, especially like your Esper Control, just because the traditional control version is hard to match up with all the resilient creatures we have in this metagame right now. There's a lot of nice graveyard recursion. It's just hard for them to deal with. Probably the one problem deck out there would be Jeskai Control. I think that's the deck to watch. I was kind of surprised it didn't. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't do as well in the Pro Tour. I don't know if it was just the Golgari matchups that they had. The Golgari players understood that the Jeskai was the deck to beat, so they set themselves up to beat. Because I believe around Pro Tour time, they were running. Golgari was running a lot of Carnage Tyrants, which the Jeskai control, and a lot of people have a hard time dealing with that. The Tyrants, it's a very hard card to deal with. You can't counter it, get hexproof. It's always difficult, especially for that removal suite that they have. But the biggest problem with Jeskai isn't so much the removal suite. It's Teferi. Teferi's a problem in the standard right now. You have to deal with Teferi. He's if you let them untap with a Teferi, it's game over. Most 9 times out of 10, it's game over. The reality is, Jeskai decks today are really Izzet decks that are splashing white for Teferi. And then since you're already splashing white for Teferi, you go, okay, you know what, let's throw a Settle the Wreckage in there, because that's just a good value card for the time, for the facing meta when you start facing the go wide strategies. And also definitely Clarion, because that's the one they do have that's normal suite has a hard time dealing with. But Teferi himself, you have like I said, you have to deal with him. He offers himself protection. He's always been a problem even since the last standard when Bant Nexus was tearing through the metagame. Looking forward, the cards that I think should be watched, obviously Teferi. I have the feeling the only reason he wasn't banned was for Sales of Dominaria. If you look at like card prices, he's really the best, the most expensive card out there, and there's a lot lower. He really throws off the average of card prices. If you look at the average of card prices for Dominaria, it's at slightly above Ixalan, I believe, right now. But it's really that's thrown off because Teferi himself is so high compared to all the others. The other card I think needs to be looked at would be Experimental Frenzy. Of course, not the power level that Teferi is, but still, really gives specifically the mono red player. Really gives the mono red player. Experimental Frenzy really gives the mono red player, and as you see, actually splashing, gives you a reason to splash red for things that should traditionally be your most colors' weaknesses. Is once you're out of answers, you should be out of answers. That kind of makes it overpowered. I have the feeling you're going to start seeing more and more, and you are starting to see more and more decks splashing red for Experimental Frenzy. I've been playing around with actually a dinosaur deck that uses it, because by the time I'm getting to turn 6, I've run out of gas, either because I've been countered out or I played all my creatures. That just gives me a whole new world of answers that I can just keep flopping down. I can cycle through my deck a lot quicker. Not obviously not as bad as Teferi himself. Other cards I think should be kept an eye on. Carnage Tyrant does. I would be unhappy if Carnage Tyrant, but that one I would understand. But yeah, moving forward, I have the feeling the next one they will ban Teferi, because I don't know. I could see Carnage Tyrant or Experimental Frenzy also getting hit. Just all depends on what I think some of the tournament results. If you see we see the different decks winning from week to week, that obviously out of the tier 1 decks, you'll probably only see Teferi, because with Azorius coming up, you got Azorius in the next set, very control heavy, and Simic. So I would have a feeling that would probably end up, if Teferi's left alone, we'll probably cycle back through to a Bant Nexus deck, which has a lot of problems. Nexus of Fate itself is a problem, but not to the point where it breaks games. It breaks games in that you can set yourself up to an endless loop, but that's a arena issue. So yeah, I want to know your opinion. Do you think they should ban Teferi or any of the other cards? Should they leave Standard alone? Is there some other cards that you think are totally broken and are going to warp everything in the next coming year? Hit me up on Twitter, comment down below. I'm happy to hear from all of you. Peace!